Welcome to Beyond the Bullet Points, the resume revealed. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're not just glancing at a resume.
No, we're really digging into it, aren't we? Trying to find the story behind the list.
Exactly. Forget just skimming. Think of this as, well, an expedition to understand the journey, the potential that's kind of hidden in those bullet points. We'll look at the experiences, the skills, and talk about what they might actually mean, how they link up.
Yeah, and we've got a really interesting example today, the resume of someone named John Hughs. Now, obviously the original had contact details, email, phone, location in Herzliya, Israel, LinkedIn, GitHub.
Right, the usual stuff.
But we're setting that aside for privacy, of course.
Yeah.
We're focused purely on the content. And what jumps out right away is the structure, but also just the sheer variety he's packed in.
It really does. I mean, it looks familiar on the surface. About me, education, experience, skills, that's pretty standard. But within those sections, wow, it's a mix of tech, business development, military service, internships. It's quite a diverse picture.
It is, and that's what makes this kind of deep dive useful, I think, especially for you listening, thinking about your own career path. Maybe it hasn't been a straight line either. How does that look on paper?
Good point.
So yeah, our mission today isn't just to read John's resume out loud. It's to sort of decode the journey it represents. What kind of person comes through when you look past the points?
And what can we all learn from that? For our own resumes, whether we're writing them or reading them.
Exactly. So where should we start? That about me seems like the logical place.
Okay, yeah. So John kicks off with this summary. It reads, motivated and adaptable professional with a strong foundation in technology, business development, and leadership. Okay, bold start.
Definitely setting a tone.
Then, experienced in software development, robotics engineering, and military operations, demonstrating resilience, problem solving, and teamwork under high-pressure conditions.
Okay, pausing there for a sec. The scope is pretty ambitious, right?
Yeah.
Tech, business leadership foundations, that's a big claim right at the top.
It is. And you're immediately wondering, okay, how does the rest of the resume back this up?
Right. And mentioning software, robotics, and military operations all in one breath, that definitely makes you sit up and take notice, suggests, well, a varied background to say the least.
And then he highlights those soft skills, resilience, problem solving, teamwork, specifically saying they were developed under high-pressure conditions.
That phrase really does a lot of work, doesn't it? It makes you curious about where exactly the military connection seems likely, as you said.
Yeah, it almost primes you for it. It makes you think, okay, for your own resume, are you just listing skills, or are you hinting at the environments where you really proved them?
That's a great point. It's smart to put those transferable skills front and center.
Yeah.
Resilience, problem solving, teamwork. I mean, who doesn't want that, regardless of the job?
True.
And he finishes by talking about his passions. Using tech for efficiency and innovation and liking dynamic environments gives a glimpse into what drives him, maybe.
Yeah, sort of his why. So based just on this opening paragraph, what kind of picture is he trying to paint, do you think?
Well, he clearly wants to be seen as someone who doesn't shy away from a challenge, someone adaptable, who can handle complex situations, and driven, too, by using tech for good, essentially.
It's definitely concise, but packs a punch.
Okay.
So let's see how the education section starts to build on this.
All right, first up, Ida Crown Jewish Academy, high school diploma, Skokie, Illinois. Dates are Aug 18 to June 22. And interestingly, he adds a couple bullet points even for high school.
Oh, what do they say?
First one just notes leadership roles in academic and extracurricular activities. Okay, fairly standard, but good to mention.
Shows initiative early on, I suppose.
Exactly. But the second bullet point is much more specific.
Ugh.
Captain of the ICJA Fencing Aces led the team to competitive success.
Fencing captain. Okay, that's memorable. That gives you a much clearer image than just extracurriculars.
Right. It suggests strategy, discipline, maybe motivating others. And the competitive success part adds that results-oriented element.
Yeah, it shows you can quantify achievements even from way back then. It's not just, I was captain, it's, I was captain and we achieved this. The good lesson there.
Definitely. It's like a little preview of the leadership theme. Then we move to Torah Tech, described as a technology and business gap year program in Tel Aviv, Israel, Sep 22 to May 23.
Okay, so right after high school. A gap year, but sounds pretty focused.
Yeah, the description calls it an elite program integrating Jewish studies with real-world technology and business. That's quite a unique combo.
It really is. Suggests he wasn't just looking for a break, but a different kind of learning experience, maybe more applied.
Seems like it. And look how it connects back to the about me. The bullet points here mention working on live business and tech projects, developing a foundation in software development, market research, and strategic thinking.
Ah, okay. So it's directly building those foundations he claimed earlier, the tech and the business side.
Exactly. This gap year seems really crucial. It's like the bridge between high school and the internships that come later. It gave him practical stuff to put on the resume.
Yeah, you can see how that would make him a stronger candidate. Shows the value of getting hands-on experience that lines up with what you say you can do.
Absolutely. So it feels like a very intentional step. Okay, shall we move into the professional experience? This is where we see those foundations put to the tests.
Let's do it. First entry. Israel Defense Forces. Combat soldier. Shirian, Armored Corps, Israel. January 24 to July 25. Wow, okay. That's significant.
Very significant. Military service, especially a combat role like this, often brings a unique perspective and skill set.
Definitely. The resume mentions an elite armored combat unit and intensive training in tactical operations and strategic decision-making. That directly echoes the high-pressure conditions from the intro, doesn't it?
It really does. You can imagine the responsibility, the need for quick thinking, teamwork. It's intense. How do you even translate that for a civilian job application?
That's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
But the bullet points try to bridge that gap. They talk about developing strong leadership and crisis management skills focused on mission success.
Okay, so framing it in terms of transferable skills. Leadership,
Yeah.
crisis management, those are valuable anywhere. And interesting, if you think back to the fencing captaincy.
Right. It's like leadership level 2.0 or maybe 10.0. Vastly different context, obviously, but the theme continues.
Yeah. And it wasn't just leadership. It also mentions training in mechanized warfare, advanced navigation, defensive tactics, and contributing to operational effectiveness. So technical aspects, too.
So it paints a picture of someone who can lead but also function effectively within a very complex, demanding system, handling both the people and the technical side under pressure.
Precisely. Okay, let's shift gears. The next experience, quiz. Business and technology intern in Tel Aviv, January 23 to May 23. Hang on, look at the dates.
Oh, yeah. January to May 23. That overlaps with the end of the Tour Tech program.
Exactly. So he was doing both simultaneously, it seems. Talk about proactive.
Definitely juggling things. So what did he do at Quiz?
It says he contributed to the development and testing of innovative software solutions, improving platform functionality. So there's the software development piece again, now in a business context.
Right. What can you really learn or contribute in just a few months as an intern, though? Does it really tell an employer much?
I think it can. It shows work ethic, ability to learn how you fit into a team. The bullets add detail, conducted user experience, UX analysis, gathered data, collaborated with developers to enhance usability.
Ah, okay. So focusing on the user, translating feedback into improvements, that's a useful skill in almost any tech role.
Definitely. And there's more. He also assisted in business development efforts, identifying market trends, providing insights to optimize product positioning.
There's the Business Development Foundation again. You can see how the Tour Tech program probably set him up to contribute there. Even as an intern, he wasn't just coding in a vacuum.
It really looks that way. It's interesting how these shorter experiences still add pieces to the overall puzzle of his skills. Okay, one more. RoboTeam. Engineering and robotics intern in Petah Tikva, October 22 to December 22.
Okay, so this one was during the first part of his gap year program, before Quiz.
Right, seems like he was getting experience right from the start of that program. And here the focus is clearly on that robotics engineering mentioned in the About Me.
What kind of tasks?
Assisted in assembly, quality assurance, and troubleshooting of advanced robotic systems, ensuring optimal operational performance. So very hands-on technical work, getting into the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, for someone claiming diverse skills, showing concrete experience in each area is pretty important. It's not just talk.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just technical. He also managed and streamlined inventory control processes to enhance efficiency and production workflows.
Ooh, interesting. Process improvement, efficiency. That ties back to his passion for leveraging technology to drive efficiency, doesn't it? Even in an engineering role, he's thinking about the bigger workflow.
Good catch. It shows that broader operational awareness. And finally, collaborated with a cross-functional team to prepare robotic solutions for client deployment, ensuring adherence to standards.
Teamwork again, plus dealing with client needs and quality control. So even this technical internship hit on several important aspects.
It seems quite well-rounded.
Mm,
Okay, so that covers the experience. Now let's look at how he summarizes his skills. He breaks them down neatly into tech and soft skills.
smart move. What's under tech skills?
Software development and programming, data analysis and research, robotics engineering and automation, and business development and market analysis.
And yeah, you can draw a straight line from each of those back to the experiences we just talked about. Quiz for software and data, RoboTeam for robotics, Quiz and Tor Tech for the business side. It all lines up.
It does. That alignment is key. It makes the skills section feel earned, not just like a list of keywords. That's a huge takeaway for anyone listening. Make sure your skills are demonstrated in your experience.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, what about the soft skills?
He lists leadership and team management, strategic problem solving, adaptability and crisis management, and customer and client relations.
And again, you can see the connections, right? Leadership from fencing and the IDF, problem solving and adaptability, definitely the military, probably the internships too, maybe even customer relations from the robotics deployment.
Exactly. It shows he understands that the soft skills are just as critical as the technical ones. It's not just a random list. You can genuinely trace them back. That adds a lot of credibility.
So when we pull all of this together,
Mhm.
about me, the education, the diverse experiences, the skills, what's the overall story that starts to emerge here? What's the narrative beyond the bullet points?
Well, you definitely get the sense of someone highly motivated, adaptable, just like you said in the summary. But it's more than that. He's built this really interesting kind of nonlinear blend of skills across tech, business, and leadership.
Yeah, it's not the typical path, maybe. But that diversity itself feels like a strength,
Yeah.
suggests maybe a wider perspective, a willingness to try different things.
I think so. And it's fascinating how these experiences that might seem unrelated fencing, a gap year in Israel, combat service, tech internships actually seem to weave together. They tell a story of someone constantly learning, adapting, and proving themselves in really different, demanding settings.
He doesn't seem afraid of a challenge, that's for sure. He seems to seek them out.
And that's maybe the aha moment for listeners. You look at these individual points, and then you step back and you see how they connect. The fencing leadership laid some groundwork. The gap year provided the tech business foundation for the internships. The military experience added that resilience and crisis management piece. It all builds.
Right. Even if your own path isn't straightforward, those experiences do add up. The trick is showing how they connect, highlighting those transferable skills.
Precisely. You have to connect the dots for the reader sometimes. Which brings up a good point. What questions might this resume raise for a recruiter?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. With such a varied background, what kind of job is he actually looking for now? How does he see all these pieces fitting together for his next step? That's probably the conversation starter for an interview, right?
Absolutely. That's the narrative he needs to be ready to articulate. How does this unique journey position him for the specific role he wants?
It really underscores the point that the resume is just the starting point. It opens the door, but then you have to tell the rest of the story. You need to guide the reader, make those connections clear.
Yeah. Don't make them guess how your military experience relates to a software job, for example. Show them the transferable skills, the leadership, the problem solving, the working under pressure.
So wrapping up our deep dive then, looking at John Hughs' resume really shows how much is hiding beneath the surface. There's a whole narrative there about growth, adapting, building diverse skills.
There really is. And the takeaway for you, listening, is to apply that same lens to your own resume. Step back. What's the real story it tells? Are there hidden strengths or connections you haven't highlighted?
That's a great exercise. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. How can you make the story of your experiences, even the ones that seem disconnected, clearer and more compelling? What dots can you explicitly connect for someone reading your resume so they really get the value you bring?
Something definitely worth thinking about. Well, thanks for joining us on this look beyond the bullet points.